conference room, and we also have people join from the remote. And we are going to record this meeting just for learning purpose. Before we start the meeting, there are a few housekeeping rules. Please keep your camera on. And if you are not speaking, please mute yourself. And now, please help me welcome our President, Steve Evans.
Thank you very much, Lee. Yes, here we are, another hybrid meeting, kind of a work in progress, an experiment in hybrid meeting formats. I am your president. A couple of things I would like to welcome Ellie tonight as a brand new member of Silicon Speech. We were able to input all of the membership information and financial information and all of that. And also, I'd like to welcome Solmaz, another new member to Silicon Speech. What's been kind of delayed is that they've shut down the Toastmaster site. They just opened it up, so I was able to get everybody all entered and taken care of just this past week. So welcome to Silicon Speech. This is the month of June. At the end of June, that means we have a brand new leadership team taking place and taking charge. I will no longer be your president because there is a term limit. So that means we need a president. We need a vice president of education. Karan has stepped up to be our vice president of PR. We also need a treasurer. We need a secretary. And Lee will continue as our sergeant at arms. So please let me know. If not, we're going to have to figure out something else. I'm not sure exactly what we will do. I may talk to Toastmasters and we could bring in a new club coach to see if a new club coach can move this along. I've been reading a book. It's called Tiny Habits. Maybe some of you have read it. And it's a very interesting book because it talks about making things smaller and more achievable. And as I was reading the book, I thought, maybe just the thought of being a president of the organization or a vice president of education or whatever for 6 whole months is a bit daunting. So maybe what we should do is you could be a president for 2 months and we'll just have a rotating number of presidents. Somebody else would be president for 2 months, and then we'll have a third person be president for 2 months. And same thing with all of the other offices. That way people could kind of dip their toe into these various roles and get an idea of what it takes to do that. And they wouldn't be intimidated by the fact that they would be stuck there for 6 months. That's just an approach we might think about. And that might be more achievable. Certain things like treasurer and the vice president of PR should be for the entire 6-month period because of the record keeping, and as far as Karan is concerned, the website and everything else that has to be done there. It's a little more intricate and something that takes a little more focus. So that would be something that we probably would have one person handle for the entire 6 months. So give that some thought. We will follow up on that as well. All right, I guess I'm the joke master tonight. I have a couple of jokes here. My 84-year-old grandfather was rushed to the hospital with a possible concussion. The doctor asked him a series of questions. Do you know where you are? I'm at Rex Hospital, he said. What city are you in? Raleigh. Do you know who I am? Yeah, you're Dr. Hamilton. My grandfather then turned to the nurse and said, I hope he doesn't ask any more questions. And she said, why? Because of all of those answers were on his badge. Huh? Okay, guy walks into a bar. This is a tough room, I'll tell you. Guy walks into a bar and he says, what's the Wi-Fi password? And the bartender says, you need to buy a drink first. Okay, I'll have a Coke. Bartender says, that'll be $3. Guy says, okay, there you go. What's the Wi-Fi password? You need to buy a drink first. No spaces, all lowercase. Finally, what do you call a boomerang that doesn't work? A stick. There we go. We have a thought of the day tonight coming from our newest member, Ellie. Please Give us, rescue us from this
Yes.
meeting going downhill fast.
No, I think that's actually, maybe I take my thought of the day from here. I don't understand why people are saying downhill when something is going very hard. Because actually going downhill, have you ever biked downhill? Nothing is faster, easier, and better.
Very
But
true.
that was
We were
not-
going uphill.
Yeah, that was, however, not the dog thought of the day that I prepared today. I shared a picture on the chat with you, which I hope that can help me explaining the thought of today. And it's funny, Steve, that you just mentioned about the tiny habits, because my thought of today also relates to tiny habits. Really quickly, were you able to open the picture?
Yes.
So essentially, I hope you like mathematics as much as I do. I have here a little graph and equations. And essentially what the power of the tiny gains is that if you get 1% better each day for a whole year, 365 days, you will end up 37 times better by the time you're done.
That is a great thought. And we should all strive to improve at least a little bit every day, because it has a compounding effect, right?
Mhm.
Well done, Ellie.
Thank you.
Okay, I will be the Toastmaster tonight. We have a timer. Kenzie will be our timer. She will be telling us about each individual segment as we go along. Why don't you show what it's going to look like when people are timed? And you will be able to see this because of this in the gallery mode here, okay? Good.
Yeah.
And of course, she has red cards and green cards and
Yes.
yellow cards, and it will all make sense. We'll ask about the timing rules as we go along, okay?
You can speak.
Yes, I'm like, I'm
The
just.
Yes, please.
mute is over there, but you can speak here.
Tell us more, Kenzie.
Yes, the green card, it'll vary from speech to table topics to evaluations, but you'll see the cards on the screen and that'll let you know when you're running out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. So Maz is our counter tonight. Hello, Samaz.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
That's what the counter is going to do.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. Tonight, I'm going to be the counter for those who don't know what counter role is. The purpose of the counter is to note any overused word, or I'm going to give you some examples, like the words like and, well, but, you know, that people usually use it in their conversations, in their speech. So I'm going to count those words, and at the end I will let you know how many words you're gonna have.
Great, thank you. I will be the grammarian tonight, or at least I'm going to introduce the word of the day and keep track of how many people use it, okay? I put the word of the day in the chat. The word of the day is lugubrious, lugubrious, and it means sad or gloomy or exaggeratedly mournful. Toastmaster meetings are hardly ever lugubrious. Or the recent loss of their aunt cast a lugubrious shadow over the family gathering. Lugubrious, it's an adjective, okay? So our first speaker tonight will be Levi Adisi. This is going to be a 5 to 7 minute speech. So why don't we let Levi know what the timing is going to look like. Okay.
The timing for this one is at 5 minutes you'll see green, at 6 minutes you'll see yellow, and 7 you will see red. Thank you.
And that means you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Very great.
Now, we have the internet land right here. This is the camera that you should be using.
Okay.
You know, if you would, the way I would recommend that you do it is do it as if you were giving a regular speech, and just treat this as another member of the audience, okay?
Okay.
Just one person, okay? Now, Levi is going to be giving a speech tonight. This is a pathway speech. A speech with a purpose is the assignment. He is going to be evaluated. Okay, now let's see here. It was to be Elizabeth Kelly, but she isn't here tonight. So let's see. Why don't I evaluate? Okay, and I'll do the evaluation, and then we'll have our second speaker will be Sean, and he will be evaluated by Kenzie. Okay. As I mentioned, this is a pathway speech, a speech with a purpose, and this is going to be a speech about music. And Levi is going to tell us more. Please welcome Levi Adisi.
Thank you. Let's see. And can I use my computer for notes and then my phone for a timer? Is that it?
Sure.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for letting me speak today. As Steve mentioned, my speech today will be about music, and more specifically, it's going to be about why everybody should attend a music festival. So I have 3 reasons why I think everybody should attend a music festival. Starting off with reason number 1, when you attend a music festival, you get a variety of musical performances. So it's not like a regular concert where you just show up and you have one stage and you have one artist, but here you have a variety of multiple different artists. And usually it's talented artists that make the cut. So you're in for a treat going to a music festival. And like a single music event, just seeing one artist, seeing multiple artists is a performance on its own. So not only do you get one performance, but you get multiple performances. And again, one performance is, or a single performance could be very exciting in the sense of a musician in the sense is walking a tightrope in that they're taking a risk, making these musical sounds that are supposed to be innovative and in their own style. And you get to experience all of this in a live environment. So it's very exciting. And within this variety of artists that you're listening to, you can also get to know new artists. So let's say you went because you recognized artists, 1, 3, and 5, and you listen to artist number 2, and it seems to be an artist that you're really into. So in that case, now you have a new artist to listen to, and you've discovered a new artist. So reason number 1, it's a variety of musical artists, and it's and all these performances can be very exciting. Reason number 2 is you get to let loose at the music festival. So there's this unspoken rule as soon as you walk into a music festival that it's a judgment-free zone. So all of your self-expression, all of your goofiness won't be judged as it is when you're walking down the street or at a supermarket or in class or in a Toastmasters meeting. So you can be as expressive as possible or as you want to be. And it's something that's encouraged in a sense. So let's say you wear these flamboyant boots and like very bright pants, a weird hat, whatever it is, but it just screams who you are as your personality. You won't be admired, but you'll be like respected for doing that in a music festival, for expressing yourself to the best of your ability. So that can be really fun. And also with letting loose, you could dance however you want. So you may think like, maybe I dance a little funny and I don't want to be seen as that goofy dancer. Well, in a music festival, the more you dance and the more you're kind of goofy and your true self, the more you attract positive energy and the more you exude positive energy. So that is what that environment is built for. So reason number 2, everybody should go to a music festival is you get to let loose, express yourself, and dance funny. Reason number 3 is, let's say you're going to a music festival and usually it's thematic. So it'll be either a rock and roll music festival or an electronic music festival. And you go because you really admire one of these artists of this genre that you've selected. and you have this really tight connection with this artist that when you were a teenager and your girlfriend broke up with you or your boyfriend broke up with you, you could really relate to that one song, and you're there to support the artist, and you go see this artist live. As you have that intimate connection with that artist, those around you will also have similar connections with these artists, which makes you be surrounded by people who may be more similar than you or to you than you think. So you get to meet some very like-minded folks who have had similar experiences because of the artists that you're supporting and what they bring to the table and their style. It's going to be something that those around you are also going to respect. So reason number 3, everybody should go to a music festival, is that you get to meet like-minded individuals. And I have a reason number 4, but it's kind of a bonus. So if you think about it, you're in an environment where you're seeing these very exciting performances that you may see the best performance you see in your life at the music festival you're in. You're in an environment where it's a judgment-free zone, so you get to dance, funny, express yourself, and you're meeting all these people that are like-minded, that respect the same things that you respect and may stand for the same things you stand for. So reason number 4, which is kind of a bonus, is that you may fall in love. Some of the folks in the audience, well, I can't actually, yeah, sorry, I'll scratch that, but I've heard anecdotes. It's totally anecdotal. It's not going to happen to you for sure, but there is a possibility because of the environment that you may find love. So whether you're younger or older, like electronic music or rock and roll, I guarantee that if you go with an open mind, you will enjoy a music festival. Thank you.
All right, everybody take a couple of minutes and send Levi some information and some critique or some evaluates things you liked about his speech, things that he may be able to improve upon, and do that in the chat. You'll have a couple of minutes to do so, and hopefully Kenzie can give us a red card when the 2 minutes have elapsed. Oh, here.
Oh, sorry. No worries. It's on my phone.
So, yeah. Passwords mastermind, capital M. Here we go. Thank you, Kenzie. Our second speaker tonight is Sean Shu. Sean is a product manager at Bluebeam, jack of all tech, as he's known, a new dad to baby Thomas. Baby Thomas is probably bouncing on Sean's knee as we speak. Tonight, he will be doing the second part of his Pathway speech, where he took your feedback earnestly, and now he's incorporating the feedback and re-delivering it. And the title is, Why Running a 5K Isn't So Different from Running 80 in What Counts. Please welcome Sean Shu.
Thank you, Steve, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I was on the Pacific Crest Trail east of San Diego doing a trail race some years ago. It was a nice, cool, sunny day. It was perfect for running. I was unfamiliar with the etiquette of trail races, however. So when everyone began the race walking, I decided to start without them. On a trail that was just wide enough for one, that involved passing 50 people carefully. And it was around mile 2 that I had ran off trail momentarily to pass someone, and I felt a burning pain in my left knee. I looked down and I saw cactus needles sticking out of it. That was mile 2 of 50, that is, or 80K for our international folk. A series of events had led me to that point. I ran across country in high school just fast enough to score a few points for our junior varsity team, but never faster than that. I stopped exercising altogether in college due to class and workload. Then one day after I had graduated, I heard an ice cream truck and decided I wanted a popsicle. I grabbed my wallet, I went to my shoe rack, I put on low-cut work boots. I ran outside. The truck had already turned a corner, so I ran in the direction of the music. I saw it half a block down and ran after it, waving my arms. It didn't stop, so I pursued it until my legs burned, my lungs hurt, and I was exhausted. I felt my heart racing and laid down on the warm sidewalk, defeated in popsicle list. I had only been able to pursue it half a block. I felt pathetic, lugubrious even. Jim Rohn said that we generally change ourselves for one of two reasons: inspiration or desperation. For me, it was desperation. I desperately wanted more for myself and for myself. And that's the first way of 5K isn't so different from 80. They both require that spark of inspiration or desperation to want to change. I went in my closet, found my old cross-country running shoes. They were well worn, but otherwise in working order. Over the next few months, I rejoined my gym. I ran on treadmills so that no one could see how little ground I covered at a sluggish jogging pace. Gradually, I built up my endurance, and I felt proud when I ran a mile without stopping. But I wanted to get back to my cross-country distance, and I signed up for a Turkey Trot 5K to establish a deadline for it. I had 4 weeks to prepare, and I charted a linear progression to reach 3.1 miles on that day. Every other day, I ran the distance I prescribed myself. But on the day of the race, I still had the voice of doubt in the back of my mind saying, "Did you really train enough?" Well, the race started and my focus turned to dodging masses of people. I eventually settled in a pack of people about my speed, and we finished the race together. My legs were tight, but I felt good. And that's the second way of 5K, and so different from running 80. You have to put in the work, training. I wanted more. I signed up for the LA Marathon next, and I started doing longer runs, but the voice in the back of my head said, "This is boring. Your foot kind of hurts. You should stop, and you could be doing a million other things with your time." That voice won out a lot of days, and I found it hard to go further than 10 miles in my training. I showed up for the race anyway, and I finished in a participation medal 5 hours, 18 minutes. I was disappointed in myself, and I signed up for the OC Marathon with the intention of doing better. I developed tools to deal with the voice. I would suppress it. So when it started, "You shouldn't be," I would just immediately hush it. I would redirect my focus intently to my surroundings, adding up numbers I saw or looking to the surroundings. Or I would keep myself amused by singing a song in my head. Without the voice talking as strongly, I got to the point where I enjoyed training. I finished that marathon in an acceptable 4 hours, 20 minutes. That's the third way of 5K isn't so different from 80. When it gets hard, you're training your mind as much as your body. I signed up for another marathon and another, training better and getting to the point where I could cruise a sub 4 hour finish time. It wasn't too long before I wanted more. I set my sights on the Badwater Ultramarathon, 135 miles in Death Valley during peak summer, negative 282 feet to 13,000 feet elevation over 3 mountains. To enter, you had to have ran either 2 50-mile races or 100-mile race. So I signed up for the Pacific Crest Trail 50-mile run. And that's where, east of San Diego, on a nice, cool, sunny day, around mile 2, I got cactus needles in my left knee. The voice inside came roaring back. It was so loud, I couldn't suppress it. I tried redirecting to the beautiful, picturesque wooded landscape around me, but the pain was just too much. I tried singing, and I had Rihanna's Umbrella, Ella, Ella, hey, hey, on loop, just the chorus, just the chorus. It was all I could remember. And that was all I could do to stay moving. It wasn't until mile 19 that a checkpoint had EMTs with first aid and tweezers to pull the needles out. And I had found that compensating my stride for my left knee being injured meant the muscles in my right leg were strained. I stubbornly kept on. I was following someone about my pace to the halfway point, but he dropped out. That was a big hit to my morale, but I reasoned that it was mostly downhill back. So I stubbornly kept on at a sluggish jogging pace. The people I had passed in the beginning began passing me until I was in last place. The last woman who passed me said, "Don't get too comfortable." And I thought, I'm anything but comfortable. But with 7 miles left, I stubbornly kept on. I finished, but just barely. I'd finally had enough. So how is a 5K not so different from an 80 in what matters? You need the inspiration or desperation to do it. You have to put in the work. You have to train your mind. Fourthly, as I learned from my 50-miler, everyone has a limit where the cost of going further outweighs the benefit. What's more, they're both about growth. In neither 5K nor 80 are you racing others. You're racing yourself. So whatever your capability level is and wherever your limit is, it feels good to push it and see how far you can go. So whatever might be your 5K, go out and push.
Well done, Sean, the master of multitasking. Everybody take a couple of minutes to give some feedback to Sean. And I have to say that if Baby Thomas insists on speaking at these meetings, we're going to have to get him a membership form. Is that about 2 minutes?
The timing. I was like, wow, this is going a while. Who's timing?
I'm glad I said something. We could have been here all night. All right, well, thank you. Thank you both to both of our speakers. Kenzie, did everybody qualify?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's good. I am going to be the chief evaluator tonight, along with everything else. So I will be also the first evaluator evaluating Levi's speech. This is a great topic. Music festivals are fun, anything but lugubrious, right? They're fun, they're exciting, something people really love to do. And I have to really commend you for coming in and actually being here in person. Your eye contact was really good. I was watching you as you were talking to people individually around the room, and also looking at the folks, our audience online. Nice gestures too. And the great thing about coming in and doing it live, people can see more than just your head. So you're able to stand, you're able to use your hands, and to practice the gestures that are important as well. Very well organized. And I really like the fact that you had a premise, a point of view, a reason to speak to us. In other words, this is why everybody should go to see a music festival. And then you say, I'm going to give you 3 reasons, and you laid them out. The variety, the fact that you can let loose and be yourself, and also you're around like-minded people. And those are 3 great reasons. And then, of course, the bonus, yes, you could possibly fall in love. Need I say more? All right, let me talk about what you may want to experiment with so you can improve your delivery. The first thing is you don't need to come up and say hello, and you don't need to come up and say thank us, for anything. A lot of this can be handled in your introduction, and that's why an intro is really important. It allows you to write whatever you would like to have somebody else say about you, and you can really set the stage. And that's one of the things I would highly recommend. And it does all of that, right? So you can just get up here and then jump right in. And the way to really capture an audience's attention is to start with a scene, a story. Set the scene. There I was. I'll never forget it, my first time at Coachella. And I had heard so much about this festival. And I had bought the tickets months before, but it was the first night. And I walked in, there were people that explained the scene, and there he was, Harry Styles on stage. I thought, wow, this is just amazing. And the production just blew my mind. You can really, and what that is going to do when you start using these personal stories is it's really going to communicate your excitement, your passion about whatever it is you're talking about. And that's so important to communicate. You want the audience to, of course, remember the reasons that they should go see a music festival. And you want them to be able to really feel your passion as well. So that is and that's a great way to do it. And as you go through these things, variety. Oh man, I was at the New Orleans Jazz Festival, and I saw this person and this person and this person. And I saw people I've never heard about, but I became a fan because they just blew me away. Whatever, And then letting loose, you wouldn't believe the people I saw at Coachella. And they, thongs were formal attire at this thing, or whatever you want to say, right? But it is a place where you could be yourself. And the great thing about it is you are respected for self-expression. It's the one place where you don't have to worry. You're really respected for showing the world exactly who you are. And then the third reason is I was at the Santana concert, and I've been a huge Santana fan all of my life. And the cool thing about it is I look to my left, I look to my right, I look to the people up front, I look around back, and everybody there was just like me, a huge Santana fan. And paint those pictures. And if you use those examples, it's going to really communicate the feeling of what you're talking about, and it will get people excited to attend the music festival. And then, of course, if you fell in love, you could share that with us as well. But great job. Love the topic, and you really did a good job with it. Thanks. And now, our second, you want to sit there or do you want to come up?
I'll sit here.
Okay. So our second evaluator is Kenzie Rose,
Okay.
and she is going to be evaluating Sean. And that will be timed by the one and only Karan Bavandi.
Me.
Take it away, Kenzie.
Hi, everyone. Great job, Sean. Just to start off, you were very expressive, a lot of different facial expressions and great hand gestures, good eye contact. I feel like if I'm going down the list, you're like checking all of them. You did great on all of them. I like that you repeated the title because I didn't catch it the first time. It was a little long. So I was like, oh yeah, that's the title. And I jotted it down. But is it right? Why running a 5K isn't so different than 80? Is that the title?
Mhm.
Awesome. It was an inspiring message because it kind of shows like how to endure through something that's painful or uncomfortable, and like the reward of finishing is great. What you could work on, I would say, just keep on doing what you're doing. You're an awesome dad and you're an awesome speech giver. So keep coming back. If I was to challenge you with anything, I would say, if you get some time, try to come in person and give a speech standing and in front of the audience. It's like 3 people here, but it's great. And yes, that's everything I have.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Kenzie, did I qualify?
Yes,
Okay.
well,
A little over?
yeah,
Okay, and I think Kenzie was a little under?
Yes,
yes.
minute 25.
Okay.
Combine our times.
Okay, fine. All right, it's now time for table topics. For those of you who are new to the club, this is an opportunity to practice your extemporaneous speaking. What are the timing rules for table topics, Kenzie?
For table topics, you speak for 1 minute and you get a green card. For 1:30, you get a yellow card, and 2 minutes, you get a red card.
Good. Okay, our table topics master tonight is Karan Bavandi. He can come up here. And as a table topics participant, you also can come up to the front of the room, or you can sit in your seat, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And for those of you at home, you do what you normally do. Karan Bavandi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster and my fellow Toastmasters. Great openings. That's the topic of our table topic today. And I came by this because I was researching great openings, and I've actually curated 3 great clips that you can find in our resource library on our website. And the questions that I came up with are around this topic. The opening of a speech is the most important part of a speech. Once you open it, it's like you enter a stream, and then everything else can roll. If you do a good job opening a speech, you're in good hands. The person, I forget his name, Colin something, he talked about 3 great ways to open. He first talked about how you should not open, and we don't want to get into that, but he talked about 3 great ways to open. One of the key things is, how do you engage people? He said, when you, for example, go into a bar, how do you engage people? So that's my first question. How do you engage people? Lee, you wanna?
I think you're
Sure.
on mute.
I'm
There you
happy
go, there you
to
go.
answer this question. I think like one approach is ask a question to the audience. And this is a good way to get audience attention. And I think there are other few things you can do. First is ask a question. And another one is tell a story. And for example, like in Sean's speech, he first talked about the story, then, and what's more, he actually has a suspense. So stop at like when he got injured, then he flashback to talk about why he like to run, yeah, this keeps your attention, keeps audience attention. And another way I think is maybe tell a joke to get people attention, just like we always have a joke master at the beginning of the meeting. Yeah, I think this is like 3 ways to get audience attention.
One of the other great openings and suggestions was to start your speech with a shock people. If you were going to open up a speech and shock people, what would you do? Let's see. You can have, I can read a new girl.
Ellie?
Ellie, yes. Ellie, you want to?
Yeah, thank you. Shocking your audience can possibly be done with several different ways. Personally, something that often shocks me is if I hear a story that's not aligned with my own values or the way I wish the world would work, especially if it's something tragic. And another way to shock your audience could possibly be to present a picture or something very disturbing is happening or something that just shocks to your core value. I think I'm done. Sorry for a short answer.
Thank you very much, Ellie. So the most important and favorite way to start a speech, according to our author, is how we learn how to start a speech as a child. And that is once upon a time. The once upon a time gets you to pay attention. But adults have a different way of doing once upon a time because that's not a children's story. So if you were going to do once upon a time, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a clue, the clue is to connect people, to be a protagonist, to share something of yourself with the audience. What would you share of yourself that would engage people in a speech? So Maz?
Thank you. I guess the way that I approach to engage people to talk to me is depending on who that person is and what is his character, her or his character. I'm gonna say something which is going to be interesting for that person. For example, if she or he is an artist, I'm gonna have a conversation about art. Or if they are tech people, I'm gonna talk about the recent technologies. As I said, depending on their profession and their interests, I'm gonna choose the topic that I'm gonna talk to them about. And depending on their age, definitely when they are too young, I'm not gonna say something that I'm sure that they're not gonna have good understanding of it. I will say something which is appropriate for their age. And also another factor is the gender. If it's a girl, or female, I'm gonna say something which is interesting for women. And if it's a man, definitely I'm not gonna say something which is very much feminine or something that I'm pretty sure that a man is not interested in talking about that. So these are the factors that I'm gonna pay attention to in order to pick a topic to engage people in a conversation.
You're the protagonist of the story. You want to share something of yourself with the audience. What is it that you want to share with the audience in this little 2-minute speech? Kenzie?
Okay, hi. I am the protagonist of this story, the main character, if you will. And in my world, what I'd like to share with the audience is that I am training to be the world's best beatboxer. And how I'm doing this, I'm going to see different beatboxers live. I'm watching countless YouTube videos. And right now I'm not the best, but I tell you, in 1 week, I will be the best beatboxer in this room at least. And in 2 weeks, the best in Santa Monica. So I'm confident that I can do this. And with the right training, with the right people, I mean, Steve is pretty good and he might tell me some things that might help me along in my journey. But I am confident that I will be the best. One day, mark my words, best beatboxer. Thank you.
You qualified, by the way.
This concludes my Toastmaster speech. Back to you, Mr. My tabletop speech.
Yes, whatever I am tonight. Thank you, Karan. Good stuff. Well done, Kenzie. Thanks for stepping up to the front of the room. That was great. Okay, so let's have our report. I believe I'll start with the grammarian report. I think there were 2 people that used lugubrious. I was one of them, and Sean was the other. Did I miss anybody else? Okay, well, we may recycle that word, giving more people an opportunity to do that. Our ah counter tonight was Solmaz. Tell us more. Give us our ah counter report, Solmaz.
Okay, let me start from myself because I was the counter and I couldn't count my ahs. I would say I have said a lot of ahs, a lot of ands. I just couldn't count it, but I could feel it. Anyway, Kenzie had made 5 ahs and 3 ands. Steve, you said 7 and 1 so. Ellie, you said 3 and 1 and. Lee, you said 2 and 5 and. Karan, you said 2 and. Levi, you said 6 and 18 and. Sean, you said no and you said 12 and 1 well, 3 so, and 5 but.
I think Baby Thomas filled all that.
Well done, Solmaz. Very good, very good. Now, for the general evaluation, we had a little trouble getting off the ground tonight. Once again, this is a hybrid meeting. This is only our second one, so I can understand why it's going to take us maybe a few tries at this before we get it down. I want to thank Karan. I want to thank Kenzie. I want to thank Levi for coming down to Blank Spaces and joining us live here. Thank everybody else for tuning in. And I think it sounded pretty good tonight. I think that, at least in the room, the speaker I brought really works well. And hopefully you were able to hear everything well online too, right? Was it all good on your end? Good. Well, we'll continue to do this, and I think we'll get better as we go. The next in-person meeting, the next hybrid meeting will be coming up the first week in July. Okay. So now I will turn it back over to our president, which is me as well, and we'll talk about what is going to be happening next week. I'm not going to be here next week. I'm going to be out of town, but and so I guess it will fall to Karan to get the invitation out. I will be here for the Tuesday study hall, but then I take off on Thursday morning. So let's see. Sean, would you want to be Toastmaster next week?
Sure. There's a guide on the website on the task, right?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, there's a guide on what I.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. You
Oh,
were, I guess you haven't been Toastmasters, I see here. No, you've been everything else. Okay, yeah. If you go to the Silicon Speech website, you look for under roles, you just click on that tab, and then all of the roles and scripts and everything else, all kinds of resources are there. Okay, so good. And now table topics master. Levi, would you want to be the table topics master next week?
Sure.
Good, okay. Now we have Elizabeth Kelly is supposed to be a speaker, and Stephen Evanson is supposed to be a speaker as well. I'm going to leave them scheduled because we've been talking about this for a while, and hopefully I'm going to follow up and make sure that
One quick.
yeah.
Is it Toastmaster?
Toastmaster will be Sean. Table topics is Levi. Our speakers, Elizabeth and Stephen Evanson. Our chief evaluator. Karan, would you be chief evaluator? Okay.
So speaker one is?
Speaker one is Elizabeth Kelly.
Speaker two?
And speaker two is Stephen Evanson. Evenson.
Chief evaluator is me.
You, right? Okay, and then evaluator one will be Raphael. Evaluator two will be Shar. With any luck at all.
Okay.
Kenzie, would you be the odd counter? Okay,
Who's the
thank you.
timer?
The timer will be Solmaz. Can you be the timer? Good. Okay, and the, let's see, the grammarian, Lee. Okay. Joke master. I have Marai down here. I don't know if she's still around or not, but I'll leave her in, okay, joke master.
Lee.
Marai. Lee is, yeah, Lee will be the grammarian.
Kenzie, and thought of the day.
Thought of the day will be Ellie. Can you be our thought of the day person? Good, thank you. And let's see, we have
Toastmaster.
the joke master. I have Marai down, but so maybe we'll have to make sure everybody keep a joke in your back pocket just in case we don't hear from Marai. Okay. A picture. Yes, we can. Let's see. It's 7 o'clock exactly. How do we do it? Okay, here we go. Everybody, now, everybody look like you're having the time of your life. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Yay! Let's see if that looked. How did that look? Okay. Oh, that was great. That was great.
Great, because Lou's in the picture too, and
I
he's
know,
smiling and having a great
I
time.
know. But he's been smiling and
Yeah,
having a great
the whole
time
time.
the whole time. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. And we will do it again next week. Study hall. Don't forget study hall on Tuesday night.